Your name was called today. Archangel Michael says, "Heaven is waiting for your response, my child, my beloved." Pause for a moment. Not because the world demanded it, not because noise or pressure or obligation pulled at you. Pause because something far deeper has just reached for your spirit. Something eternal has gently interrupted your ordinary movement. This is not random. This is not coincidence. You did not arrive here by accident, and you were not led here by curiosity alone. You were called. There are moments in life when time does not feel like time anymore. When something inside you suddenly becomes quiet, even though nothing outside has changed. When your heart recognizes a signal before your mind can explain it. This is one of those moments. You may not understand why you stopped. You may not even know what you were expecting to find, but something in you knew, this is not just another moment passing. Your name was called today. Not in a voice you could hear with your ears, not in a sound that would draw attention from others. It was called in that subtle, unmistakable stirring in your chest, in that gentle pressure in your spirit, in that unexplainable sense that this message is somehow about you. You have been moving forward, but something has felt slightly off. Not broken, not destroyed, just misaligned. Like walking with a stone in your shoe, small but enough to change your entire rhythm. You've noticed it in the way your joy doesn't stay as long as it used to, in the way your rest doesn't fully restore you, in the way even your victories sometimes feel quieter than they should. You've tried to ignore it. You've told yourself you're just tired. You've told yourself it's just a season. You've told yourself it will pass. But your spirit knows the difference between a season and a signal. There has been a quiet question following you lately, not always in words but in feeling. A sense that something important is waiting, that something is close but not yet in your hands, that something is trying to line up, but hasn't fully clicked into place. And still, you kept going. You kept being strong. You kept showing up. You kept carrying responsibilities, expectations, and silent hopes that no one else sees. You kept being the one who holds things together, even when you yourself felt like you needed to be held. That strength has not gone unnoticed. But today is not about how much you can endure. Today is about alignment. There are moments when life does not need more effort from you. It needs awareness. It needs presence. It needs a willingness to notice when the path is about to shift slightly, just enough to change everything. This moment is time-sensitive, not because something bad will happen if you don't act, but because opportunity has timing. There are doors that open softly. There are invitations that do not shout. There are windows that appear quietly and remain open only long enough for those who are awake to step through. You have been wondering why certain things have taken longer than you expected, why certain prayers feel like they're still traveling, why certain parts of your life feel like they're waiting for permission to move forward. It is not because you are forgotten. It is because something is being arranged. But arrangements require response. And today your name was called because your response matters, not a public response, not a dramatic one. Just a real one, an honest one, a yes that begins inside before it ever shows on the outside. You may not even know yet what you are saying yes to. That is okay. The first yes is not about understanding the whole path. It is about agreeing to stop, listen, and not rush past this moment. There is a gentle urgency around you right now, not pressure, not fear. Just the sense that something important is near enough to be felt but not yet fully seen. Like standing just before dawn, when the light has not arrived, but the darkness already knows it is about to leave. You have felt this before, in small ways, that pause before a turning point, that strange stillness before a shift, that moment when your heart knows change is coming, even if your mind cannot yet describe it. This is one of those moments. And the interruption you are experiencing right now is not meant to derail you. It is meant to realign you. Sometimes the most divine moments do not come as answers. They come as interruptions. They come as gentle stops. They come as invitations to breathe, to notice, to listen more deeply than you have been listening. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not off the path. You are simply being asked to adjust your angle before the next stretch of the journey begins. And if you stay with this moment, if you do not rush away from it, something will begin to make sense. Not all at once, not in noise, but in that quiet, steady way that truth always arrives. For now, all you need to do is remain here, not out of fear, out of recognition. Because something in you already knows this moment is not ordinary, and something is already moving towards you, and the next step is closer than you think. There was a moment in your life that did not look important at the time. It did not arrive with drama or warning. It did not announce itself as a turning point. It felt ordinary, necessary, even reasonable. And yet, quietly, almost invisibly, it changed the direction of things. Not because you were careless, not because you were unfaithful to your path, but because you were tired. Because you were carrying more than anyone knew. Because sometimes survival makes choices for us before our dreams get a chance to speak. You may not remember the exact day, or you may remember it too clearly. A conversation, a decision, a delay, a silence you thought would only be temporary, a door you did not walk through because you told yourself, later. Or perhaps because you told yourself, it's safer this way. And at the time, it truly did feel safer. You were not trying to run from your life. You were trying to protect your heart. You were trying to keep things together. You were trying to avoid one more disappointment, one more loss, one more moment where you had to start over. So you adjusted, you adapted, you compromised in a way that did not feel like compromise back then. And life continued, but something inside you noticed. Since then there has been a quiet heaviness that comes and goes, not always sadness, not always regret. More like a soft question that never fully leaves the room. A sense that something is slightly unfinished, that something important is still waiting in a place you don't quite look at directly. You've tried to explain it logically. You've told yourself this is just how adulthood feels, or this is just what responsibility costs, or not everything gets to be exactly how we want it. And some of that is true, but not all of it. Because your spirit knows the difference between maturity and misalignment. You have felt it in the way certain achievements didn't satisfy you the way you thought they would. In the way certain relationships felt close, but not quite nourishing. In the way you sometimes feel like you're living a good life, but not fully your life. There are days when you wake up and everything is fine. And still, something feels missing. Not in a dramatic way. In a quiet way. In a way that only you seem to notice. That is the echo of that small hidden disruption. And here is what you need to hear with gentleness. It was not fully your fault. There were pressures around you that you could not name back then. Expectations you did not choose but felt responsible for. Timing that did not yet reveal its consequences. You made the best choice you could with the strength, clarity, and resources you had in that moment. That is not failure. That is being human. And still, choices, even protective ones, can redirect a journey. Not to punish you, but to teach you what matters. That is why sometimes your life has felt like it's moving but not arriving. Like you are progressing, but not quite touching the thing you're meant to reach. Like you are circling something important without fully stepping into it. That is also why certain patterns keep repeating. Similar challenges. Familiar emotional walls. The same kind of hesitation showing up in different situations wearing different faces. Not because you are stuck, but because your life has been waiting for you to notice something. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not incapable of change. You are simply carrying an unresolved turn in the road, and unresolved turns do not disappear on their own. They wait patiently, quietly, until the moment comes when you are strong enough, safe enough, and awake enough to look at them without fear. That moment is closer now than it has ever been before. You may have wondered why this feeling is surfacing again. Why old memories or old questions seem to be drifting back into your awareness. Why you're suddenly more aware of what doesn't quite fit anymore. It is not because you are regressing, it is because you are ready. Ready to see what you could not see before. Ready to understand what you did not yet have the language for. Ready to release the version of yourself that had to choose safety over truth. There is no shame in that version of you. That version saved you, that version carried you, that version did what it could, but you are not that version anymore, and your life knows it. That is why the old alignment cannot hold you the way it used to. That is why the old explanations no longer fully satisfy you. That is why something inside you is quietly preparing for a shift, not a dramatic one, a true one. What was hidden is not coming back to accuse you, it is coming back to realign you. And realignment is never about blame. It is about return to clarity, return to honesty, return to the part of you that still remembers what you almost became. Do not rush this. Do not judge what you are starting to see. Just notice. Because what you are beginning to notice now is the doorway to everything that has been waiting on the other side of that unfinished turn. And soon, very soon, you will start to understand why your life had to pause here before it could move forward again. You have never been as alone as you sometimes feel. There are moments when the world grows quiet around you, when the noise fades and the weight of everything you carry becomes more noticeable. In those moments, it can feel as if you are walking, unseen, unheard, and unaccompanied. But that feeling is not the truth. It is only the surface of the truth. There is more surrounding your life than your eyes can measure. There has always been more. Your tears have not fallen into empty space. Your silent questions have not disappeared into nothing. The nights when you stayed awake, thinking, worrying, hoping, trying to understand what you could not yet explain, none of that was wasted. None of that was invisible. You are not being watched in a way that looks for failure. You are being kept in a way that looks for fulfillment. There is a difference. There have been moments in your life when things almost worked, almost changed, almost opened, almost shifted, and at the time, those near misses felt like disappointments, like more evidence that something was always just out of reach for you. But some of those moments were not losses. They were interventions. You were spared from paths that would have cost you more than you could see at the time. You were delayed from outcomes that would have looked successful on the surface, but would have slowly emptied you on the inside. You were redirected from situations that would have required you to become smaller in order to stay, and you did not know it. All you knew was that something didn't work. All you felt was the ache of another closed door. But now, with gentler eyes, you are beginning to sense that some of those closed doors were not rejections. They were protections. There is a realm of intention surrounding your life that does not rush the way humans rush. It does not panic. It does not forget. It does not lose track of what it has begun. And you have been carried by that intention far more often than you realize. There were days you should have given up, but didn't. Days you should have settled, but something in you refused. Days you should have walked away from yourself, but somehow stayed. That somehow is not random. There is a quiet keeping over your life. Not control, not pressure. Care. You may not have words for it. You may not even be sure you believe in it all the time. But your story shows evidence of it. In the way you survived things that should have hardened you. In the way you still hope, even after being disappointed. In the way you still want a life that feels true, not just manageable. You are not alone in wanting that, and you have never been alone in the waiting. There have been prayers spoken for you that you do not remember speaking. There have been tears you cried that carried more weight than you realized. There have been moments when your heart whispered things your mind could not yet form into sentences. All of that has been seen. All of that has been held. Not as a record against you, as a reason to continue with you, and now, something is shifting in how that care is expressed. Before, it showed up as protection and delay. Now it is beginning to show up as invitation. That is a different kind of help. Protection works without your permission. Invitation requires your response. This is where your life is standing now, not at a wall, at a doorway. And doorways do not open themselves. They wait, not impatiently, expectantly. You may feel this as a gentle pressure in your chest, a sense that something is about to be asked of you. Not in words, in choice. In willingness, in the quiet place where you decide whether to stay the same or step forward. Nothing is being forced, everything is being offered, and this offer is not based on how perfect you have been, it is based on how ready you have become, ready to participate instead of only endure, ready to respond instead of only cope, ready to choose instead of only accept. There is help near you now in a way that is more personal than before, not to carry you, not to drag you, but to walk with you, if you will walk. That kind of help does not move without consent. It waits for agreement. It waits for the small, honest yes that happens inside, before it ever shows on the outside. You do not need to know every step. You do not need to see the whole path. You only need to recognize that you are not being asked to do this alone anymore. You are being asked to do it with awareness, with participation, with intention. And that is why this moment feels different from other moments. Not heavier, clearer, not louder, more focused. Something is watching over your life, not to measure you but to move with you. Something has been keeping track not of your mistakes but of your becoming, and now, that something is waiting. Waiting not for you to be flawless. Waiting for you to be willing. Because the next movement of your life is not meant to happen to you. It is meant to happen with you. And all of it is standing still for one simple, powerful thing, your response. And that response is closer to the surface than you think. Here is part 5 fully expanded into a deep, emotionally immersive, approximately 800-word chapter, continuing seamlessly and honoring all your structure and tone. Part 5, the reroute moment. There comes a point in every journey when forward movement no longer looks like pushing harder. It looks like adjusting direction, not because the destination has changed, but because the path you've been walking can no longer carry the full weight of who you've become. This is that point. It may not look dramatic from the outside. There is no thunder, no sudden collapse, no obvious ending. But inside you, something is already shifting. You can feel it in the way your old motivations don't pull you the same way, in the way certain routines feel heavier than they used to, in the way your spirit keeps leaning towards something you can't fully explain yet. Rewriting rarely begins with certainty. It begins with honest discomfort, a quiet awareness that the current direction, while familiar, is no longer true. Not wrong, just no longer aligned with where your life is trying to go. You have outgrown something, and outgrowing is always confusing before it becomes freeing. There is a part of you that wants a clear sign, a definitive instruction, a moment where everything becomes obvious all at once. But that is not how this kind of correction usually arrives. It comes as a series of small recognitions, subtle nudges, gentle resistances, a growing sense that you can no longer ignore what your inner world is telling you. Soon, very soon, something will surface, not as a disruption, as a revelation. It might be a conversation that lingers in your mind longer than you expect, a truth you suddenly cannot unsee, a name that keeps appearing, a realization that lands quietly but changes how you look at everything around it. It will not come to accuse you. it will come to position you. You may feel a strange mixture of relief and fear when it happens. Relief, because something you felt but couldn't articulate will finally have words. Fear, because once you see it, you will know that staying the same is no longer an option. This is not pressure. This is permission. Permission to choose differently, without needing to justify yourself to every voice from your past. Permission to adjust, without turning your life into a courtroom where every old decision has to be defended. Correction is not condemnation. Rerouting is not failure. It is wisdom catching up with experience. You are not being asked to leap blindly. You are being asked to listen honestly. There is a quiet question rising in you now. You may not even hear it clearly yet. It sounds more like a feeling than a sentence. But it is there. It is the part of you that knows something needs to change, not because everything is wrong, but because something more true is waiting. When this moment comes fully into view, it will not demand perfection from you. It will only ask for willingness. Willingness to admit what no longer fits. Willingness to loosen your grip on what once felt necessary but now feels heavy. Willingness to trust that adjusting your path does not mean you have wasted the steps that brought you here. Nothing has been wasted. Every step taught you something. Every delay shaped you. Every detour protected you from something you couldn't see at the time. And now, all of that experience is converging into clarity. You will not be asked to burn your life down. You will be asked to reposition it. Sometimes that means changing how you show up. Sometimes it means changing what you say yes to. Sometimes it means changing what you finally allow yourself to release. The moment of rerouting often feels smaller than we expect. It feels like a quiet decision. A subtle shift in posture. A private resolve that does not need to be announced to anyone. But that is how the biggest changes usually begin. Inside. Before they ever appear outside. You may worry about what this change will cost you. That is natural. But consider this. Staying misaligned always costs more in the long run than any honest adjustment ever will. Staying requires you to keep shrinking parts of yourself. Adjusting allows you to expand. And your life is ready for expansion. There is a version of you waiting on the other side of this choice that feels lighter. Clearer, more at peace with their own direction. Not because everything becomes easy, but because everything becomes more honest. The path forward does not require you to have all the answers. It requires you to stop pretending you don't feel the question. When the sign appears, and it will, you will recognize it not by how loud it is, but by how deeply it resonates. It will feel strangely familiar, like something you've known for a long time, but were not ready to accept. When that happens, do not rush, do not panic, do not talk yourself out of what your spirit recognizes. Just pause, breathe, and give the only thing this moment truly needs from you: permission. Permission to move. Permission to change. Permission to begin again without calling it failure. Because this is not an ending. It is a correction. And every true correction is the beginning of a much clearer journey. Something is lining up, something is preparing to make sense, and you are closer to the turning point than you realize. Now comes the time of revelation, the moment when the quiet stirrings, the subtle nudges, the long-held questions you've carried in your chest begin to rise to the surface. This is not a sudden crash of understanding. It will not arrive with clanging bells or a spotlight on your life. It is quieter than that, gentler than that. But it is infinitely more powerful. You may notice memories surfacing, some old, some recent, layered with emotions that have waited patiently to be acknowledged. Do not push them away. Do not try to rationalize them immediately. Do not let your mind distract you with explanations. These emotions are not chaos. They are messengers. They are fragments of your inner truth rising to the surface to guide you, to illuminate the path that has been obscured for too long. Some of what comes may feel uncomfortable. That is natural. Some truths are tender. Some truths are heavy. Some truths will make you question how you have been moving through your own life, how you have been thinking, or what you have been allowing to linger in your spirit unexamined. But discomfort in this space is not punishment. It is clarity, action. The revelation phase is never designed to harm you, it is designed to free you. You may experience confusion. You may feel uncertain which part of what is surfacing belongs to the past, and which part belongs to the present. You may notice old patterns, familiar voices, or unresolved feeling coming alive again, pressing against the edges of your consciousness. That is part of the process. It is the unseen realm helping you unpack what has been held in silence and shadow in waiting. These are the pieces that were always meant to prepare you for what is ahead. Prepare yourself to observe, not to react, not to fix, not to run. The power of revelation lies not in immediate action but in awareness. Your task now is to become fully conscious of the truths rising before you, to watch them without judgment, to honor their presence, and to allow yourself to sit with them long enough that the surface begins to align with what is deeper inside. Your heart may accelerate, your breath may catch, or your chest may feel tight as fragments of your life. Relationships and experiences are gently brought into light. These feelings are signs, not warnings. They are markers of authenticity. They are your soul signaling. Here is what you've been carrying. Here is what is about to set you free. You may notice old disappointments resurface, conversations you wish had ended differently, decisions that you thought were final but now appear to require another look, names, faces, moments, and choices you have held on to sometimes as protection, sometimes as limitation are now emerging. You are being offered the chance to see them clearly, not through the lens of regret, but through the lens of understanding and integration. When revelation comes, it is rarely gentle in the ways we expect. It does not always bring comfort immediately. It often feels like turbulence within the soul. But recognize this turbulence for what it truly is, the realignment of your spirit. Your inner world is recalibrating to match the truth of what is waiting for you. And you are exactly where you need to be to witness it. Expect emotional reactions. Some may surprise you. Tears may come unbidden. Relief may wash over you in waves. There may be moments when your chest feels full and exposed, as if your soul has been unwrapped and gently lifted into the air. You may feel both heavy and light at the same time. That is normal. That is the alchemy of revelation. The part of you that has been dormant, silent, cautious, and weary is beginning to see the truth of your journey unfold. Do not try to analyze it all at once. Do not attempt to fix every detail or resolve every lingering question. That is not the work of this phase. The work of revelation is to witness, to honor, and to allow the truths to settle within your consciousness. Watch without judgment. Watch without fear. Watch with curiosity and tenderness, knowing that each element rising now is a step toward restoration, toward clarity, toward a life aligned with the essence of who you truly are. Some truths will reveal themselves through patterns. Others will arrive as flashes, moments, insights, symbols that speak directly to your heart. You may feel nudged toward actions that are small but profoundly meaningful. These are the beginnings of a shift that has been quietly forming in the unseen realm. Pay attention. Your inner knowing is waking up. Your intuition is stronger than ever. It is guiding you toward choices that will restore integrity and alignment to your life. And here's the most important instruction of all: observe. Do not react immediately. Let the clarity unfold naturally. Let the light illuminate the corners of your life that have remained in shadow. Let yourself receive the understanding that is arriving without needing to solve it yet. Your task is not to respond right now, but to see fully, to recognize fully, to let truth settle before action is required. Because once observation becomes deep enough, once revelation becomes undeniable, you will notice a subtle shift. The world you have known begins to feel less like it is controlling you, and more like it is inviting you to participate. You will begin to sense that the next step is not about pushing or forcing, but about moving with awareness, with conscious intention, and with the clarity that only revelation can bring. You are entering a sacred phase of awareness. The pieces that rise now will form a pattern you could not have seen before. The clarity you gain now will be the foundation of your next alignment, the precursor to restoration, and the gentle but decisive moment that allows your life to step fully into its next season. This is the phase where the unseen becomes seen, where confusion becomes understanding, and where the light of awareness touches the shadows of your past, so that you may move forward whole, present, and ready. And when you recognize it, when the truths you've been avoiding, overlooking, or holding back finally land in your awareness, something inside you will shift in a way that can never be undone. Not for judgment, not for shame, not for regret, but for freedom, clarity, and alignment. The next chapter of your journey is waiting on the other side of this revelation. And you are ready, my beloved, my child, my chosen one. The moment you have been approaching with each quiet thought, each tender hesitation, each small act of courage, is finally here. It is not a moment that shouts with external alarm. It is not a moment you can postpone indefinitely. It is subtle, it is intimate, it is personal, and it is decisive. Today, your response matters more than your past ever could. Because no mistake you have made defines you. No hesitation, no misstep, no quiet failure in yesterday can dictate the unfolding of this very day. Those moments shaped you, yes, but they did not disqualify you. They only prepared you. They only brought you to the point where you can finally see clearly what needs to be done. Your name was called today. Not as a warning, not as a demand, not as a test you could fail. Your name was called because something in the unseen realm, the very pulse of destiny itself, recognizes you as ready. Not ready in a perfect sense, not ready in a fully certain sense, but ready enough to take the hand that has been quietly extended to you, to step into a rhythm that has been waiting for your heart to respond. There will always be reasons to hesitate. Your mind may conjure doubts. Am I truly ready? Did I do enough? Am I sure this is real? These questions are normal. They are human. But today, your spirit knows a truth that your mind cannot yet fully comprehend. It is not perfection that matters, it is willingness. The choice to say yes, to move forward, to answer the quiet call within is enough. To set the course of your life on the path it was always meant to take. Do not look at your past and measure yourself by it. The mistakes, the silences, the times when fear held your hand too tightly, those are not chains. They are markers of the journey, reminders that you have grown, that you have endured, that you are now capable of walking into what you could not before. You are capable of hearing the call and responding with your heart, fully aligned with the truth of your life. There is urgency, yes, but it is not a threat. It is a timing of opportunity. Windows open quietly, and they do not linger forever. They offer the chance for movement, for restoration, for alignment, for freedom. And you are standing at one such window now. One quiet, unseen window that is open, only because you have prepared yourself through every choice, every pause, every tear, every prayer. Do not dismiss this call as ordinary. It is extraordinary. You have been chosen, not by circumstance, not by luck, but by the very thread of destiny that has been weaving your life long before you could recognize it. Your path has been protected, guided, and quietly observed. And now, the unseen is waiting for your active participation, not passive consent, not delay, not distraction. Your response is required not to validate your worth, but to activate your alignment. And the truth is, my beloved, your life will never look exactly the same again once you answer. That is the nature of this call. Not a threat, not a punishment, but a gift. A movement that requires courage, a movement that demands honesty, a movement that honors the person you have become while freeing you from the shadow of who you once were. You may feel fear creeping in. That is normal. Change, even welcome change, carries its own weight. But your spirit knows your deep, quiet, unshakable knowing that responding now is far less costly than continuing to carry the weight of hesitation. Every moment spent in indecision is a moment that delays the unfolding of blessings, clarity, restoration, and peace. Every yes that you withhold is a yes that your life waits for quietly, expectantly, but patiently. This is not a call to rush. This is not a call to panic. It is a call to decisive presence, to answer with clarity, with heart, with a quiet courage that has been forming in you all along. To say yes, even softly, even without certainty, and trust that the alignment it triggers will guide you further than you could have imagined. You are not defined by the mistakes of your past. You are defined by your willingness to step into the present moment, to receive what is ready for you, to respond to the unseen with awareness and intention. Today, the unseen is asking for your active yes, and that yes will shape your days, your weeks, your very trajectory in ways you cannot yet calculate. Take a deep breath, feel the pulse of life in your chest. Hear the quiet call that has been there, always, beneath the noise of everyday survival. Your name was called for a reason. And now, the only question that matters is whether you will respond. Not perfectly. Not fully understanding everything. Not without questions or fear, simply with presence, simply with willingness. Simply with the awareness that this moment is sacred, unique, and decisive. Do not delay. Do not let doubt steal this opportunity. Do not allow fear to soften your answer, because your response, however small, however quiet, however private, has the power to realign every part of your life, to restore what was lost, to clarify what has been confusing, to awaken what has been dormant. This is the final call, my beloved, and it is gentle, intimate, urgent, and real. The choice is yours, not the past, not anyone else, only you. Say yes, and when you do, you will find that everything that was waiting for you has been waiting, not in judgment, but in hope. Hope that you would finally see, that you would finally respond, that you would finally claim the life that has been calling your name all along.